designed as an introduction to the Amazon S3 storage service and is suitable for those that are starting. This could reply to your by sending an email to support@cloudacademy.com, where one of our cloud experts will reply to your question. This course is designed as an introduction to the Amazon S3 storage service and is suitable for those that are starting out their AWS journey to understand the various services that exist and their use case. Also, storage engineers that are responsible for maintaining and storing data within the enterprise, and anyone looking to begin their certification journey with either the AWS Cloud Practitioner or any one of the 3 associate level certifications. The objectives of this course are to provide an overview of Amazon S3, including what the service is, the basics of the Amazon S3 console, and its associated storage classes. This is an entry-level course to S3, and so no prior knowledge of this service is required. However, a basic understanding of cloud computing and awareness of AWS regional infrastructure would be beneficial but not essential. For more information on cloud computing concepts and principles, please see our existing course here. And for information on AWS regional infrastructure, please see our existing blog. Feedback on our courses here at Cloud Academy are valuable to both us as trainers and any students looking to take the same course in the future. If you have any feedback, positive or negative, it would be greatly appreciated if you could contact support@cloudacademy.com. Hello and welcome to this lecture where I will introduce the Amazon Simple Storage Service, commonly known as S3. Amazon S3 is probably the most heavily used storage service that is provided by AWS, simply down to the fact that it can be a great fit for many different use cases, as well as integrating with many different AWS services. Amazon S3 is a fully managed object-based storage service that is highly available, highly durable, very cost-effective, and widely accessible. The service itself is promoted as having unlimited storage capabilities, making Amazon S3 extremely scalable, far more scalable than your own on-premise storage solution could ever be. There are, however, limitations on the individual size of a single file that it can support. The smallest file size that it supports is 0 bytes, and the largest file size is 5 terabytes. Although there is this size limitation on a maximum file size, it's one that many of us will not perceive as an ongoing inhibitor in the majority of use cases. The service operates an object storage service, which means each object uploaded does not conform to a data structure hierarchy like a file system would. Instead, its architecture exists across a flat address space and is referenced by a unique URL. Now, if you compare this to file storage, where your data is stored as separate files within a series of directories, forming a data structure hierarchy, much like your own files are on your own laptop or computer, then S3 is very different in comparison. S3 is a regional service, and so when uploading data, you as the customer are required to specify the regional location for that data to be placed in. By specifying your region for your data, Amazon S3 will then store and duplicate your uploaded data multiple times across multiple availability zones within that region to increase both its durability and availability. For more information on regions, availability zones, and other AWS Global Infrastructure components, please see the following blog here. Objects stored in S3 have a durability of 99.999999999%, known as 11 nines of durability, and so the likelihood of losing data is extremely rare. And this is down to the fact that S3 stores multiple copies of the same data in different availability zones. The availability of S3 data objects is dependent on the storage class used, and this can range from 99.5% to 99.99%. The difference between availability and durability is this. When looking at availability, AWS ensures that the uptime of Amazon S3 is between 99.5% to 99.99%, depending on the storage class, to enable you to access your stored data. The durability percentage refers to the probability of maintaining your data without it being lost through corruption, degradation of data, or other unknown potential damaging effects. When uploading objects to Amazon S3, a specific structure is used to locate your data in the flat address space. To store objects in S3, you first need to define and create a bucket. You can think of a bucket as a container for your data. This bucket name must be completely unique, not just within the region you specify, but globally against all other S3 buckets that exist, which there are many millions. And this is because of the flat address space. You simply can't have a duplicate name. Once you have created your bucket, you can then begin to upload your data within it. By default, your account can have up to 100 buckets, but this is a soft limit and a request to increase this can be made with AWS. Any object uploaded to your buckets are given a unique object key to identify it. In addition to your bucket, you can, if required, create folders within the bucket to aid with categorization of your objects for easier data management. Although folders can provide additional management from a data organization point of view, I want to reiterate that Amazon S3 is not a file system, and many features of Amazon S3 work at the bucket level and not a specific folder level. And so the unique object key for every object contains the bucket, any folders that are present, and also the name of the file itself.
Now I'm going to provide a quick demonstration of the Amazon S3 console. I'll show you how to create a new bucket and upload an object into that bucket. Then I'll show you the unique object key of that object. So I'm here in the S3 console, and here we can see the list of buckets I've already created in my account. And you can see here we have columns for the bucket name, which is the unique bucket identifier, as well as the region where the bucket exists. So you can see I have some buckets in US East 1, one in US West 2, and one in EU West 2. Next to that, we have the access permissions for the buckets. And I'm not going to dive too deeply into bucket access and security at this stage, since this is just more of an introduction to give you an overview of the console. But we do have other lessons that focus on S3 security. And finally, we have a column showing when the bucket was created. Now, if I go into one of these buckets, for example, this one here, Cloud Academy Demo Bucket 3, we can see that I've created a folder here called Danny. And we can tell this is a folder by the little folder icon next to it. Now, if I select that folder, we can see I have 2 more folders inside it here. And if I go into this one, for example, I can see that I have an object inside this folder that's a PNG file. So this is an object that I've uploaded to S3 in the Cloud Academy Demo Bucket 3 bucket. And we can see that it's in the Courses folder under Danny within that bucket. Now, if I select this object, I can get some information about it. And I can download it or I can open it. I can also see the last time it was modified. And if I scroll down further here, I can also see the storage class that it belongs to, and if there's any encryption at rest activated. And if I scroll back up here, we can also see the file size and file type.
Thank you, Hannah.
And here's the unique identifier, or the key for this object. So we can see that the key is made up of any folders within the bucket, and then also the object name at the end. And then over here, we see the unique identifier of this object on S3, so it gives it an object URL. Now, if I want to open this object, I can simply click on Open, and as you can see, it's just an image file. Or if I come back here, I can also choose to download the object if I want to. So now you can see how it's possible to use folders within your buckets to store objects, and what the object key looks like as well. So now if I come back up here and go back to my list of buckets, I want to quickly show you how to create a new bucket. And it's very simple to do this. So to start, I'll just come over here and click on Create Bucket. And first I need to give my bucket a name. Now remember, this name has to be globally unique. So I'm going to call this one Cloud Academy Demo Bucket 6. Next, I can select the region where I want this bucket to reside. And for this bucket, I'm just going to select the US East 2 region here. Now, if I wanted to, I could also choose to copy settings from an existing bucket. But I'm just going to scroll through all of the different options here that you have when creating a new bucket. So you see we can enable or disable access control lists, or ACLs, which determines who can control access to the objects that are uploaded into your bucket. And here we can block all public access, which we are almost always going to want to do for our S3 buckets. So this is always going to be checked by default. This will prevent anyone from outside of your VPC accessing any data within your bucket. I can also enable versioning, which keeps all versions of an object in the same bucket. I can add some key value pair tags and choose to encrypt my objects by default as well. And if I expand the advanced settings here, you see I can also enable object block, which can prevent my objects from being deleted or overwritten. But for this demo, I'm just going to leave all of these options as the defaults, and I'll click on Create Bucket. So here's the bucket I just created, Cloud Academy Demo Bucket 6. And if I select that bucket, we can see here that I don't have any folders or objects inside of it yet. So to create a folder, I'll come up here and click on Create Folder. And I'll give it a name of Demo. And I could specify a unique encryption key here or just leave the default, which will just utilize the bucket setting for default encryption. And now I'll come down here and click Create Folder. So now I've created this folder. If I want to add a new object, I can either add it directly under this bucket, or I can go into that folder and upload it there. But I'll just add it directly under the bucket here. For versioning, default encryption, and object lock will impact my newly uploaded object. And I can also expand the permissions. And if I come down further and expand properties here, you can see the full list of storage classes. And my choice of storage class here will affect the durability, the availability, and also the cost to store my object. And we'll dive deeper into the different storage classes in the next video, so I won't go over this too much now. But for the sake of this demo, I'm just going to leave this as the standard storage class. And scrolling down further here, I'll leave all of these default settings for server-side encryption, additional checksums, tags, and metadata. And then I'll come over here and click Upload. And on this page now we can see that the upload has succeeded. So I'll come over here and click Close. And so now I can see this new object that's been uploaded to my bucket. And again, if I come over here and select it, I can see the object key and also the unique object URL as well. So that's just a very quick demonstration to show you the S3 console, how to create buckets and folders, and how to upload objects as well. I hope you've enjoyed this quick demo of Amazon S3. To learn more about S3 and all of its features, I encourage you to check out this course. Hello, and welcome to this video covering Amazon S3 storage classes. When uploading new objects to S3, you have the option to select the storage class for your uploaded object. Amazon S3 offers these different storage classes to allow you to select a class based on performance features and costs. It's up to you to select the storage class that's best suited for your data. These storage classes include S3 Standard, S3 Intelligent Tiering, S3 Standard Infrequent Access, S3 One Zone Infrequent Access, S3 Glacier Instant Retrieval, S3 Glacier Flexible Retrieval, and S3 Glacier Deep Archive. Let's discuss each of these storage classes in more detail, beginning with S3 Standard. This class is considered a general-purpose storage class. It's ideal for a range of use cases where you need high throughput with low latency, as well as a need to access your data frequently. By copying data to multiple availability zones, S3 offers 11 nines, or 99.999999999% of durability across multiple availability zones, meaning the data remains protected against the failure of a single availability zone. It also offers 99.99% availability over a given year. From a security standpoint, this storage class also has the added support of SSL, Secure Sockets Layer, for encrypting data in transit, in addition to different encryption options for when the data is stored at rest. With management features such as lifecycle rules, objects in S3 Standard can automatically be moved to another storage class. And if you're unfamiliar with lifecycle rules, they provide an automatic method of managing the life of your data while it is being stored on Amazon S3. By adding a lifecycle rule to a bucket, you can configure and set specific criteria that will automatically move your objects from one class to another, or delete them from Amazon S3 altogether. You may want to do this as a cost-saving exercise by moving data to a cheaper storage class after a set period of time. For more information about how to create and manage S3 lifecycle rules within a lifecycle configuration to transition objects between different storage classes, I encourage you to check out our existing lesson, Working with Amazon S3 Lifecycle Configurations. Next, we have S3 Intelligent Tiering. This storage class is ideal when you don't know for sure how frequently you'll need to access the objects you store in S3. When data access patterns are unpredictable, using S3 Intelligent Tiering can help optimize your storage costs. Depending on how frequently you access objects stored with the S3 Intelligent Tiering class, S3 will move your objects between the following tiers: Frequent Access, Infrequent Access, and Archive Instant Access. These tiers are part of the Intelligent Tiering class itself and are separate from the other S3 storage classes I listed earlier. When objects are first stored in S3 Intelligent Tiering, they're placed within the Frequent Access tier, which is the most expensive of the three tiers. If an object isn't accessed for 30 days, then AWS will automatically move the object to the less expensive Infrequent Access tier. If an object isn't accessed for 90 days, AWS will automatically move it to the even less expensive Archive Instant Access tier. And in situations where instant access isn't a requirement, you can even configure S3 Intelligent Tiering to automatically move objects that aren't accessed for 180 days into the least expensive Deep Archive Access tier. When an object in the Infrequent or Archive Instant Access Intelligent Tiering also offers 11 nines of durability across multiple availability zones, offering protection against the loss of a single AZ. However, at 99.9%, its availability isn't quite as high as S3 Standard, which, as you'll recall, has an availability of 99.99%. S3 Intelligent Tiering also supports SSL for encrypting data in transit, as well as encryption options for when the data is at rest. It also supports lifecycle rules and offers the same performance throughput and latency as S3 Standard. Next is S3 Standard Infrequent Access. This is equivalent to the infrequent tier from the Intelligent Tiering class, as it's designed for data that does not need to be accessed as frequently as data within the Standard tier, but still offers high throughput and low latency access, much like S3 Standard. As with all other S3 storage classes, it carries 11 nines of durability across multiple AZs, again by copying your objects to multiple availability zones within a single region to protect against AZ outages. It shares the same availability as Intelligent Tiering of 99.9%. As a result, this storage class is less expensive than S3 standard. Again, SSL for encryption in transit and encryption options for data at rest are supported, as well as management controls such as lifecycle rules to automatically move objects to an alternate storage class based on your requirements. One additional option for your infrequently accessed data is the S3 OneZone Infrequent Access class. You can probably assume how this storage class works based on the previous classes I've already discussed. So again, being an infrequent storage class, it's designed for objects that are unlikely to be accessed frequently. It also carries the same throughput and low latency as S3 standard infrequent access. However, its durability, although remaining at 11 nines, only exists across a single availability zone. As the name of this class implies, it uses one zone, as in one availability zone. So the objects will be copied multiple times to different storage locations within the same availability zone, instead of across multiple availability zones. This results in a 20% storage cost reduction compared to S3 standard. However, it also offers the lowest level of availability, which is currently 99.5%, because your data is only being stored in a single availability zone. Should the AZ storing your data become unavailable, then you will lose access to your data. Even worse, it may become completely lost should the AZ be destroyed in a catastrophic event. Once again, lifecycle rules and encryption mechanisms are in place to protect your data both in transit and at rest. Now let's take a look at our options for archive storage with S3 Glacier. The next three storage classes we're going to discuss are associated with S3 Glacier. I'll start by explaining a little bit more about S3 Glacier, as it can be accessed separately from the Amazon S3 service, but still works closely with it. S3 Glacier storage classes directly interact with the Amazon S3 lifecycle rules I mentioned earlier. However, the fundamental difference with the S3 Glacier storage classes is that they come at a fraction of the cost compared to storing the same data within the non-Glacier S3 storage classes. So what's the catch? Well, Glacier doesn't provide you with all the same features as Amazon S3, but more importantly, it won't always provide you instant access to your data either. So what do the S3 Glacier classes offer? They offer an extremely low-cost, long-term, durable storage solution that's often referred to as cold storage, ideally suited for long-term backup and archival requirements. It's capable of storing all the same data types as Amazon S3, which is effectively any object. However, like I mentioned, it doesn't always provide instant access to your data. The service itself has 11 nines of durability, making it just as durable as Amazon S3. And again, this is achieved by replicating the data across multiple availability zones within a single region. But it provides the storage at a considerably lower cost compared to that of Amazon S3. And this is because the retrieval of data stored in Glacier is not always an instant access retrieval process. When retrieving your data, it can take up to several hours to gain access to it, depending on certain criteria. The data structure used within Glacier is centered around vaults and archives. Buckets and folders are not used. These are purely used for S3. A Glacier vault acts as a container for Glacier archives. These vaults are regional, so when creating a new vault, you'll be asked to specify the region in which it will reside. Within a vault, your data will be stored as an archive. These archives can be any object. You can have unlimited archives within a Glacier vault. So from a capacity perspective, just like S3, you'll essentially have access to an unlimited quantity of storage for your archives and vaults. Now, where S3 provides a nice graphical user interface to view, manage, and retrieve your data within buckets and folders, Amazon Glacier does not offer this capability. The Glacier dashboard within the AWS Management Console allows you to create vaults, set data retrieval policies, and configure event notifications. Moving data into S3 Glacier for the first time is effectively a two-step process. First, you need to create a vault as the container for your archives. This can be completed using the Glacier console. Then you'll move your data into your vault using the available APIs or SDKs. Now, as you may recall, there is one other way to move your data into Glacier, which is by using the S3 lifecycle rules that I discussed earlier. And when it comes to retrieving your archives, you'll again need to do this via code, either the APIs, SDKs, or the AWS CLI. You'll begin by creating an archive retrieval job, Then you'll request access to all or part of that archive. Now that you have more of an understanding of S3 Glacier, let's review the three S3 Glacier storage classes. We'll begin with S3 Glacier Instant Retrieval. This class is ideal for rarely accessed data and offers a low-cost, durable, and highly secure storage solution, offering encryption both in transit and at rest. Its durability matches that of other S3 storage classes, with 11 nines across multiple availability zones, and it has an availability of 99.9%. You can add data to this storage class with the S3 Put APIs, or by using S3 lifecycle rules. Best of all, when you use the S3 Glacier Instant Retrieval class, you can retrieve objects stored in S3 Glacier just as quickly, in milliseconds and with the same throughput, as objects that are stored in S3 Standard, making it ideal for archive use cases where you might still need immediate access to your data. However, keep in mind that this is the only Glacier class that allows for this kind of quick retrieval of data. All of the other Glacier classes I'm about to discuss will require you to wait on the order of minutes to hours to retrieve your data. Next, we have S3 Glacier Flexible Retrieval. This class offers even lower cost storage for archive data that only needs to be accessed about once per year. It offers 3 different retrieval options depending on how urgently you need to retrieve your data, each with a different price point. The first of these options is expedited. This is used when you have an urgent requirement to retrieve your data, but your request does have to be less than 250 megabytes. Your data is made available to you within 1 to 5 minutes. As you would expect, this is the most expensive retrieval option of the 3. The next option is standard. This can be used to retrieve any of your archives, no matter their size, but your data won't be available for 3 to 5 hours, so much longer than the expedited option. This is the second most expensive of the 3 options. And finally, there's bulk. This option can be used to retrieve petabytes of data at a time. However, this typically takes between 5 and 12 hours to complete. This is the cheapest of the retrieval options, but which option you choose will really depend on how much data you need and how quickly you need it, as the retrieval speed and cost will be determined by your retrieval option. The final Glacier storage class is S3 Glacier Deep Archive. Of all the storage classes offered by S3, Glacier Deep Archive is the cheapest. And since it's a Glacier class, it again focuses on long-term archive storage. This is an ideal storage class for circumstances that require specific data retention regulations with minimal, if any, need for access, such as those within the financial or health sectors, where data records might need to be legally retained for 7 years or even longer. It offers 11 nines of durability across multiple AZs with 99.99% availability. Adding data into S3 Glacier Deep Archive follows the same process as S3 Glacier, using S3 Put APIs in addition to S3 lifecycle rules. Glacier Deep Archive offers 2 different retrieval options depending on how quickly you need to have your data restored. When using the default standard retrieval, AWS states that the retrieval of your data will be complete within 12 hours or less. There's also a lower cost bulk retrieval option, but that will take up to 48 hours to complete. So when selecting a storage class for your data in S3, you really need to ask yourself the following questions. How critical is my data? How reproducible is it? Can it be easily created again if need be? And how often will I need to access it? This table summarizes the common features of all of the S3 storage classes. As you can see, the main differences between them are the intended use case, availability percentage, and minimum storage duration time, in addition to the pricing. For more detailed information on Amazon S3 pricing, please see our existing lesson, Understanding and Optimizing Costs with AWS Storage Services. That brings me to the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed this introduction to S3 storage classes.
EC2. Hello? I don't know what EC2 is. Gloria? Glory? Are you there? Or maybe I can search for it. No, it didn't give me.